How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hopefully everyone is having a lovely day. So the Bengals season is, make no mistake about it. I mean, I said all offseason, say, hey, let's be patient. Don't worry about it. It's just the offseason. This contract, this is going to get done. Bengals typically, in the past, big contracts, big players. You know, we see it late August, early September when the Bengals ink these deals. So it's not something to be too surprised by. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Football starts Sunday. We're running out of time very closely. And you have to assume, again, we're assuming. Might not be the case. We're assuming once the season starts, they're going to close the books on contract negotiations. That's the kind of guy and vibe you kind of get from Joe Burrow and company. We'll see if that's what happens. Nonetheless, though, big implications. Now, of course, Burrow's got 2 years left on his deal since they picked up that fifth-year option. And, you know, there's no concern of him leaving this team anytime soon. That deal can get done next offseason. No problems, no questions asked. I think at the end of the day, Mike Brown will throw him as much money as he wants. But you also want to try to win championships, and you want to try to leave your team as much cap flexibility as possible. So that's why we're seeing it back and forth. And we talk about hometown discounts. We think, a lot of people say there's no chance a hometown discount is ever going to happen. Possibly. Maybe down the road in his career it happens. Yeah, he's going to be the highest paid quarterback. I think being the highest paid quarterback, he can still take a hometown discount being the highest paid quarterback. That being said, he could have taken a couple million off the deal and made more. But I think there's multiple avenues you look at this hometown discount. And now I look at the hometown discount like this. Now it's not a hometown discount, but it's a discount at the end of the day. Because right now Joe Burrow has 2 years left on his contract. He's going to have an $11 million cap hit this season, a $29 million cap hit next season. So overall, $40 million in cap hit over the next 2 seasons on average. If Joe Burrow comes to a contract agreement this season, even if it makes him the highest paid quarterback in the league, they can still, and we've seen this in the past, I can't talk about all the financial literacy in the league. I know there's a lot of ways teams finagle that cap and make sure there's cap space. But there's, without question, right now, the Bengals, you look at him and say, hey, he's taking up $20 million a year on cap hit the next 2 seasons on average. There's a way they can front load this contract. Maybe throw him 10, 15 this year, throw him 15, 20 next year. Overall, I feel like you could look and say, hey, we could throw $40 million in cap over the next 2 seasons on this Joe Burrow contract. And that's going to save a lot of money. Consider we're not trying to say, Joe, we're going to tell you to take a discount. You want to pay the man $500 million or $400, $600, whatever it is. It could be a $600 million deal if you got 10 years. Well, let's say he takes a $600 million deal. Well, you take $40 million off. Now it's a $560 million deal. So over the course of 10 years, instead of, $660 million a year, he's going to make $56 million a year. So he's going to save $4 million a year in cap. Let's say it's a 5-year deal. Well, now he could save $8 million a year in cap. So it's big savings. Average annual value going from dropping $4 to $8 million a year. Especially if it's a shorter term deal and you can front load that. They could possibly throw more than that in the first 2 years. Possibly throw less. You never know. But in my opinion, in my mind, you think you stop and say, hey, that's a lot of money to be working with. It might seem small, but in the long run, that's a lot of money to be working with because you're obviously going to save that $4 million there, $4 million a year there. But 6, 7 years down the road, that contract's going to be a steal regardless because of the way the cap goes up so much. But if it's a shorter term deal at $8 million, that's a heck of a bunch of change to be spending there on Chase, on Higgins, these guys you keep around. So once you watch this year evaporate, I mean, a lot of that goes out the door because $30 million cap next season. You could throw a little bit more on the front load a little bit, save 10 to 15 million. Still maybe save a million or two, which is still a decent work. But overall, I mean, that flexibility and that option goes out the window a little bit. I would assume, we're talking ahead of ourselves here. I'd assume you can restructure that deal right now that he has for 2 years and put some more money on that contract. I'm assuming that would work that way. That being said, big financial implications, big team implications for the Cincinnati Bengals. Because again, you don't want to be a team that gets caught in that cap situation where they have to let any and everybody go because they can't afford to pay guys. So we'll see. Overall, just get the deal. Now, positive vibes. Let's just get the deal done, Joe. What do you want? 75, 80, 90? You take whatever you want. It's crazy, right? At the end of the day, you would. It's not going to happen. I'm just saying, if you had to. You're going to throw Joe Burrow whatever he needs. I mean, as long as you can afford an offensive line, you can afford Joe Burrow. I mean, we'll be right with the rest of the offense because that's the position you're in and how important this guy is to the franchise. But again, $60 million seems like it's probably going to happen. Especially that we're this late into it. That's what's kind of concerning about this too. Is like we're late into this now where it's like a lot of us were optimistic, like maybe Joe is it'll be an easy contract negotiation, it'll be flexible. But now obviously the longer you wait, the closer you get to the season, you wonder, are the two sides going back and forth? Are they having a tough time? Is it difficult? Is the negotiation process running into some walls of barrier? You hope they ain't like faltering any sort of relationship from that standpoint there. Again, they have a whole another year, really 2 whole years if they want to do it that way. I mean, they could really franchise them. You really don't want to do that, but you could 3 years down the road from now. But we'll see. Hopefully that contract just gets done. We don't have to worry about any of this. Love you guys' thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.